right? I mean, we all know this. People build their own homes, self-construction, and you have microfinance institutions that are involved in the space. In a country like Kenya, you have cooperatives, you have thousands of them, and those cooperatives, they call them SACCOs, actually finance housing, access to housing, and they're not mortgages. So I think when we have access to data, then we have a better understanding of what's really driving the market, right? I mean, why people are not using mortgages, why people are actually self-building their own homes. They rather take 5, 10 years to finish constructing their homes instead of using my brother like Taf as a developer, right, to build their homes. So can we come up with innovations or ways of formalizing the sector a bit more, right, so that we can really accelerate the process of home ownership? And it's not only just for home ownership as well, right? Access to housing is also about rental, right? Rent to own and other strategies for home ownership or access to housing. So I think it's really key to diversify the source of data. And my humble request really to all our countries is to strengthen our National Bureau of Statistics. They need proper funding, right, to do their job properly. And I think many of our countries have the same issue where data and statistics haven't been prioritized as in the national policies. So I think it's key to reinforce these agencies. And then have more frequent iterations of surveys, right? Social accounting metrics, having sector summary reports, real estate, construction sector reports would be key. And then the planned population census, as I've heard, I'm very happy to hear this because this was part of my request, is to take advantage of those national censuses to actually capture all the data, right? You mentioned number of bedrooms, quality of construction materials used in the houses. I think these are great opportunities to actually capture most of this information and not only population-centric sort of information. And then the Central Bank of Nigeria definitely is a great opportunity or a great area to collect and disseminate data, right, on residential lending activity and mortgage loan performance as well, which would really help banks understand the quality of the mortgage market and perhaps encourage banks to lend more to the sector if they know that the sector is not as risky as perceived. And then, the Central Bank of Nigeria can also help put in place comprehensive and standardized data gathering protocols and mechanisms and templates for government-funded housing initiatives, for instance. And then state governments also can disseminate indicators and reports on turnaround times, how long does it take to approve a construction building permit, or getting access to title registrations, because this would really help improve the quality of the administration, right, in the housing sector. And then finally, for us as DFIs, one thing that I can commit to today, and I think my friend Kesha will be happy to hear this, for every single project that Shelter Afrique is going to finance, we would require that our developers that we deal with actually make some sort of data available and public, really, for us to use for the data gathering process that we're doing here. So this is our commitment we're making here. And also financial institutions that are working with us that we are going to finance will be working with them to develop standardized approaches to gather all the required data that's important for the industry, because this is the only way we can really be transformational and change the sector and change the industry. And we will be also pushing our other DFI partners that we work with globally to follow the same sort of principle, right? Because we can be enablers, we can facilitate the whole process because we are working with the ecosystem, we are an apex sort of institutions, right? And we can really help facilitate building the ecosystem and getting access to the data, working through our partners developers, financial institutions, microfinance institutions, insurance companies, government agencies, you name it, right? So we can really facilitate this. So this is my commitment here today, Keisha, and happy to work with you and the whole team to push the agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you look at the paper you have before you on this particular session, day 1, session 2, what do we need to do differently? And we have had a lot of very incisive ideas coming forward. Shelter Africa is saying that before they touch your project, they need to be sure that you have done the socio-economic survey that justifies that investment in that locality. And that is so key because something happened in 2008. A friend of mine took off a loan from Federal Mortgage Bank and invested in a state. He didn't do the socio-economic survey. When he finished that project, nobody could touch it because the rental, it was better for them to rent than for them to buy that property that they have built. And they're embanked in court today, over billions of naira trapped. So if you look at the cost of our not paying attention to data, it is quite huge. And we need to change the narrative from the beginning. Before you decide on where to locate a project, have you done the socio-economic survey to look at the absorption capacity of the people in that place? How many people are willing to pay what you want to offer to pay for it?
The Honourable Minister of State, Federal Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Alhaji Abdullahi Tijani Gorzo, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Dr. Engineer Marcus Olani Ogumbi, FNSE, the heads of the housing institutions, the Federal Housing Authority, Senator Ben Shafa, the MD, Federal Mortgage of Nigeria, Mama Amadu, the Surveyor General of the Federation, the Family Funds Funds, MD or representative here with us, the Nigerian Mortgage Finance Corporation, distinguished chairman of the Housing Sector Reform Task Teams, and the members that are here present, Brigadier General PMO Rees, retired, who will head the multi-agency delivery team, Surveyor Reverend Sullivan Ugochukwu, the land reform team chairman, Aknubuwe, the building materials manufacturing hubs team, Mr. Adedeji Adesemoye, who will head the Federal Housing Institutions reform team, the directors of the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development with us here, representatives of the various professional bodies in the built environment, such as the Nigerian Institute of Surveyors, the Estate Surveyors, Registration Board of Nigeria, Nigerian Institute of Architects, and the Architect Registration Council of Nigeria, Registrar who is here with us, the COBON Chairman, Nigeria Society of Engineers, and the Council of Registered Engineers of Nigeria, the BUMPAN, which is the Building Materials Producers Association of Nigeria, Nigerian Bar Association, representatives with us here, the academia who have invited, other invited guests and sector experts, including the Presidential Technical Committee on Land Reform, the gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, including representatives of the Governors Forum and traditional institutions that were invited. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to sincerely welcome and thank you all for taking our time to be here with us at this historic event today. We are gathered here as Nigerians, public and private sector players, stakeholders in the housing industry, management and staff of housing development agencies. What unites us is the desire for Nigeria to have a vibrant, functional and efficient housing industry that not only meets the shelter needs of Nigerians, but also to unlock the massive potential of the sector for catalyzing inclusive economic growth. Because over the last 60 years of Nigeria's independence, we have witnessed successful governments roll out a series of housing development plans and policies. Despite these many plans, our country has sadly failed to meet the housing needs of Nigerians as we still grapple with a huge housing deficit. Housing sector contribution to the gross domestic product, GDP, hasn't moved in any significant way over the past several decades. Housing development institutions are also still not only functional at suboptimal capacities, and the enabling housing laws are obsolete. Researchers and experts have stated clearly that most of the housing plans and policies since independence failed to deliver the expected results due to large part to a lack of political will on the side of the government. The good news now is that our President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, recognized that to achieve renewed hope vision target of building $1 trillion economy, housing must be prioritized. This means undertaking comprehensive housing reform, sector reforms that will ensure the systemic and prevalent issues that have caused underdevelopment are fixed. All legal impediments are removed, and the institutional frameworks for housing agencies necessary to ensure that they deliver optimally on their mandates to deliver decent and affordable housing to Nigerians are reviewed and upgraded. Mr. President has demonstrated a strong political will and unmatched boldness to take steps towards breaking the jinx of underdevelopment in Nigeria in line with the renewed hope agenda. The first sign of this in the housing sector is his demerger of the Minister of Housing and Urban Development from the Works Ministry. Second was his preference for a housing industry professional and his eventual choice of my humble self and engineer Abdullahi Gwarzo to lead the delivery and implementation of his renewed hope vision for the housing sector as the Ministers of Housing and Urban Development. Alongside the Honorable Minister of State, my brother Abdullahi Tijani Gwarzo, who have taken this job with all sense of commitment and responsibility and pledged to work hard to deliver on the assignment, working closely with all industry stakeholders. Shortly, I will be taking a major functional step necessary to implement the historic reforms for actualizing the renewed hope vision of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for the housing and urban development by integrating 4 housing sector reform task teams. The first is the Housing Institutions Reform Task Team. The task of this team is to develop a robust framework for ensuring that housing agencies under the supervision of the Ministry are optimally optimized to deliver effectively on the renewed hope vision for the provision of quality, decent, and affordable homes for Nigerians. This includes a thorough review and facilitation of necessary legislative amendments of relevant housing industry laws, including the National Housing Fund Act 1992, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Establishment Act 1993, the Federal Housing Authority FHA Act 1973, and PENCOM Act to allow for increased investment in housing. The team will also map out strategies for driving the nationwide adoption and passage of the modern mortgage foreclosure law in the states. The Housing Institution Reform Task Team comprises stakeholders, agency representatives, professional bodies, and academia. The reforms and legislative amendments that the reform team will carry out in collaboration with the stakeholders at the National Assembly will be one of the most comprehensive set ever done in the history of housing and urban development in Nigeria. Second is the multi-agency project delivery task team. The aim is to ensure that all housing institutions or agencies under the supervision of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development work collaboratively towards optimizing their strength to deliver decent and affordable housing to Nigerians. The multi-agency project delivery task team comprises highly qualified and experienced professionals with expertise in housing development, urban planning, infrastructure, finance, and project management, amongst others. They will outline frameworks for synergy between the Federal Ministry of Housing, Urban Development, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, the Federal Housing Authority, and even the Family Homes Fund Limited, and propose processes to eliminate bottlenecks in housing development to increase the national housing stock, amongst others. Part of the terms of reference include developing a comprehensive strategy and roadmap for the construction of at least 50,000 new houses per year for a start through multiple funding sources. Third on the list is the Land Reforms Task Team. This team is tasked with the development of a blueprint that will aid sustainable implementation of much needed reforms necessary for streamlining the land administration, ensuring easy and cost-effective and efficient access to land in Nigeria. This task comprises state governments, who are the major custodians of land in the country, the traditional rulers, the relevant agencies, professional bodies, academia, stakeholders, and sector experts to ensure buy-in and inclusivity. The team is to draw from the extensive work of the Presidential Technical Committee on Land Reforms, which has been working for the past 14 years towards comprehensive reforms, including establishment of the National Land Commission. The fourth on the list is the Building Materials Manufacturing House Task Team. The Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development is setting off the Building Materials Manufacturing House Task Team in line with the Renewed Hope agenda to boost building materials manufacturing in the country towards ensuring economic growth, creating jobs, most importantly, reducing dependency on imports and lowering the cost of construction materials and housing delivery. The Building Materials Manufacturing Task Team is made up of sector experts, representatives from relevant government agencies, academia, and industries associations. Primarily, their job is to conduct a thorough assessment of the current state of the building materials manufacturing sector in Nigeria, including existing facilities, capacities, and key players. They are also to identify challenges and opportunities within the sector. The result will be a blueprint that will ensure sustainable implementation of reforms for the sector and establishment of building manufacturing hubs in each of the 6 geopolitical zones across the country. This may include feasibility studies on the most viable locations for siting the hubs within each zone. The task teams has been carefully selected to include all relevant stakeholders, such as agencies of government, professional and regulatory bodies, academia, the industry experts, traditional rulers, and other groups. The goal is to tap from the wealth of knowledge and experience of these relevant sectors and individuals and come up with strategies that are inclusive, wholesome, and can stand the test of time. I'm well aware of the skepticism that usually greet the constitution of work groups by government and agencies. I'm also aware that many Nigerians see such teams as a waste of time and resources because of many years of abuse and non-performance on one hand, and the lack of willingness to implement the outcomes and resolutions of such teams on the other hand. However, I make bold to ask Nigerians to trust us. We have also engaged a consultant to provide a framework for the establishment of the National Social Housing Fund. This is to effectively deliver on this government's desire to provide houses even for the low-income and the vulnerable in the society. chairman and members of these teams have been carefully selected. They are individuals of character who have exhibited professionalism, result-oriented leadership, and distinguished service in their various fields. I'm confident they will deliver, and the deliverables will form the foundation for a strong, vibrant, and housing and urban development sector we can all be proud of. From the chairman to the sector expert to the housing industry stakeholders, we have done so. We have chosen individuals who are not only knowledgeable, experienced, but also passionate about the development of the housing sector. These are people who over the years have been identified in the industry to be dissatisfied with the slow pace of development and share with me the urgent importance of getting things done right. And getting it right is not a rocket science. It is about sincerity of purpose and the political will to do what is right to the benefit of Nigerians. The sincerity of purpose and political will we now have His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It is instructive to note that the housing, finance, and development agencies have been performing suboptimally. If you look at the FHA, for example, it's an agency that is expected to provide houses for all segments of the society, including the low income, the middle income, and the high income. And they have received tremendous support from government to carry out their mandate. On each occasion that the FHA is open, that the FCDA is opening a new district in Abuja, for instance, a large portion of land is always allocated to FHA, where they write requesting for land also from state governments. They are always obliged. With the same, there is no reason why they should not be delivering houses in large numbers. They have the option to approach even the capital market to raise funding for housing development. The FNBN is expected to lead mortgage financing in the country. They should meet the needs of Nigerians and create easy access to mortgages. They should also explore the capital market, but their performance leaves much to be desired. Our reforms will therefore very comprehensive. And getting it right, as I said, is not a rocket science. Additionally, we have the support of the National Assembly, from the Senate President, the Speaker, the Chairman of the Senate and House Committees on Housing, Habitat and Urban Development, and other stakeholders. We now have a historic alignment of critical stakeholders who believe that we are serious about doing things right and are ready to assist us to change the narrative for good. With this, I'm confident that we shall succeed. I'm assured that the work that the task teams will do and the recommendations they will bring up will not end up in filing cabinets of the ministry. We will act on them with all sense of urgency. The recommendations should include clear action plans and with deliverables and timelines. And that's why we have proactively appointed private sector consultants for each of the task teams. They will provide technical support for the team to ensure speedy access to needed resources, efficient harnessing and sensitizing of deliberations, structured reporting, and timely delivery of stated terms of reference. On this note, I encourage all members to see the work they have been called upon to do as part of history making. Several years away from today, when the history of Nigeria's housing industry is reaching, it will be said that this event that we are witnessing today, the teams that were inaugurated today and the Nigerians who are part of it, were the ones that laid the foundation for the historic transformation and development of Nigeria's housing industry. So I want to charge you all to give your best for the good of Nigerians and for posterity. Dear Chairman and members, the trust we bestow on you today is a great honor. You carry on your shoulders the hopes and aspirations of millions of Nigerians who expect us to do well as ministry and for the government of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR to meet the aspirations, having voted for him overwhelmingly at the polls. On our part, we'll provide all the necessary support you need to the best of our abilities to ensure that you deliver within the timelines stipulated in the terms of reference. Once again, I want to thank you for accepting to be part of this national assignment. I also look forward earnestly to our recommendations in the coming 8 weeks, so we can begin the process of implementing them towards building a vibrant, efficient housing industry that delivers decent and affordable housing to Nigerians.
My name is Biola Akiola.
My name is Miriam Lawa from Macro Homes Nigeria Limited.
Hey people, this is Town Planner Bello Oluwayinka.
My name is Akintoye Adeoye, the incoming president of Redan.
Hello everyone, my name is Mayowa Okwedari. Keep watching Housing TV Africa.
Keep watching Housing TV Africa.
Keep watching Housing TV Africa.
Shout out to Housing TV Africa, channel 149.
Keep enjoying Housing TV Africa on channel 149 Star Times.
Keep watching Housing TV. If you want to know much about what is happening in the built environment, housing related, land related issues, this is the place to go.
They are the best.
Hello and welcome to News Update on Housing TV Africa. I am Brown Mike Ibo. Here are the top stories. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has initiated a comprehensive campaign to eliminate unauthorized settlements and shanties across the nation's capital. The Department of Development Control, led by Director Mukhtar Galadima, is actively compiling a thorough list of informal settlements for verification, prioritizing the identification and addressing of potential havens. Nigeria is in talks with the World Bank for $1.5 billion loan to address revenue challenges and forest scarcity. Finance Minister Wale Edun reviewed the move, emphasizing the loan's goal to boost foreign exchange supply and exchange rate pressure. In a recent development, the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority (LASPA) has revealed that a staggering 700 buildings were sealed in 2023 for violating state laws. The General Manager, Mr. Kehinde Oshinaike, emphasized the necessity of this enforcement to prevent potential building collapses in 2024. On another development, the federal government has greenlit a substantial amount of 5.1 billion naira to support 185 research proposals through the National Research Fund grant cycle. The approval conveyed by Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, comes after a thorough screening process initiated in March 2023 involving 4,287 concept notes. That Fund's Executive Secretary, Sonny Echeno, shared the breakdown that 3.78 billion naira for science, engineering, technology, and innovation, while 759.9 million naira for humanities and social science. Meanwhile, 583.7 million naira goes for cost-cutting teams. That ends the news update for this hour. For more details, catch up with us in news later. I am Brown Mike Ibo. Bye for now.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.
Things now are increasing. Even I stay in Mandala, and I work in Zone 5. Who says Zone 5? My going and coming now every day is 1,200. Coming 1,200, going 1,200. That is 2,400. So it's not funny. Landladies and landlords now, they will increase their house rent, no matter what. Because I stay in a rented apartment. Because I see the move of which my landlady now is even the body language now is telling us that it's going to increase the house rent. But she have not come out officially and told us, but we are already seeing it. So if I don't know if government can do something, it's really affecting the poor masses.
The thing will affect housing rent, like the high cost of living, like food and other things. Because those people also may like to, okay, how much did I buy my things and how much did I transport it to where I'm doing my business? So they will consider those things, and definitely they would like to also increase their price. In fact, everything is going high as a result of this fuel subsidy.
I think it is very good. In due time, it's going to be of a beneficiary to all Nigerians, Rome is not built in a day. It is step by step. I know we are going to suffer it, or we are suffering it now, but if they keep on, or they keep hold to it, in due time we're going to enjoy it.
When you don't have a house to live in Metama, you can check in good here. So that's not normal now. We know what Metama is and that's Sokoro. But you can find a way here.
It's a pity that the situation Nigeria found themselves was very tough. And the removal of this subsidy added insult to injury, if I might say. With this, it's going to increase more on house rent. The amount they charged before will be more will be added.
The impact is going to be everywhere, not only housing. Yeah, everything is going up. Price of cement will go up. The landlord will want to increase his or her rent. But at the long run, we are not looking at the present situation because we've been in this for over 20 years. So if we continue, we'll live in it, then younger ones will come and inherit it, and it's not going to be good for us.
To make most of those property affordable, government has to have a rethink. Number one, see how they can do price control on material. Also, tax waiver on material, building material. If they do tax waiver on building material, the houses will be affordable, and they also do price control because a lot of people they sell their material. Not even some wants to make excessive gains. So if there's a government price control, that will also stabilize the cost of material in the market. And if you take a tax of material like VAT, it will also bring the cost of material down.
The only way the government can help the masses is through the subsidy. The subsidy, maybe they subsidize the price through materials. If the government can help us and do the same thing on the housing, it will help so many people. Even the rural Kara will have a house.
The government will need to do what they are doing now for health insurance policy. There must be a conscious effort for housing policy to be implemented, and workers and citizens must be encouraged to put the normal 2.5% of their salaries into the national coffers, so that there will be enough pension funds that can be used, and then we can start mortgage. If there is good mortgage and there is good system of assessing funds, the price will come down.
The only way to make affordable housing for all is, number one, is to minimize the cost of materials, which is number one. We talk about cement, talk about the road and other materials that is used for construction. So what government need to do, for like we have high class people, we have middle class and low class people. Okay, so the challenge is not at the aspect of the high class people. Where the main thing lies is between middle class and low class. So if we want to move forward and to carry everybody along, what we need to do is for us to come to that point where we make materials affordable for the low class and the middle class.
If we go back to our local productions, I think we should be able to get affordable houses for the masses.
The government should be able to coordinate from the beginning and intentionally bring out laws that actually help the real estate developers. Little incentives like granting them land, help making sure that the CFOs are given to them quickly, access to financing, even being backers for credits when they want credit. So little things that can help the real estate.
It's high time we go back to our local content. When I mean local content, I mean 100% local content. What is eco-friendly? More eco-friendly products. What happened to them when we are building mud houses, right? Now mud houses look like it's old school. No, it's sustainable, right? Eco-friendly, environmental friendly, even cost benefits. It's even easier to maintain.
I am a manufacturer. I manufacture. I was the first person to think of producing POP cement in Nigeria. The first problem we are facing first is access to funds. No deliberate support by government to support some, industries. And second is power, is another problem. Third is exchange, dollar rate. But like I said earlier, the government should have to design a program with the view to support manufacturers so that it will be easier for them to produce and bring it to the market so that it will support and build our local consumption and even to export it for other countries in Africa and even beyond.
Local manufacturing in Nigeria can be encouraged in several ways. First is incentives. We are in a part of the world that we rely so much on incentives from government, and incentives do not always come in terms of cash. Provision of local amenities, all the necessary facilities that will enhance business to grow. Provision of light, tax-free, they call it tax holiday for local manufacturers. If you encourage local manufacturers to pay less or no tax, it will encourage a lot of people to go into local manufacturing. So if government could provide incentive, then the encouragement of patronage, if you let the citizen know that if you patronage local material, this are likelihood of you getting this type of value from government or from any other means. It encourages local production.
Encouraging local manufacturing in Nigeria lies on the shoulder of both the citizen and the government. From the citizen, we should have the confidence in patronizing local production within the country. And secondly, going back to our government, they should pass policies that will help and assist our local industries.
Always dependent so much on what things are imported. We seem to love the things that come from outside the country than what we have. Incidentally, many of the things that come from outside the country, the raw materials were taken away from Nigeria, from our own soil, to develop them into something else. And I think that through research and development, we can also make the best use of these local resources. At the end of the day, have quality materials that are from within our nation at a reduced cost.
Well, the issue is that we first and foremost have to, make sure the local content in our buildings is paramount. And the federal government has to now try to see what they can do in the importation of building materials to make sure at least they increase the duty so that to encourage the local content here in Nigeria to be able to produce what we can use in our programs, in our housing programs nationwide.
It's for us to start with our mindset and our orientation. The idea that anything that comes from overseas is better than what is home is first a mindset. Secondly, with improvement in things in infrastructure, things like power, it makes it more easier for people to look at local production. And then importantly, to start to patronize our made in Nigeria goods, because that's how you sort of encourage them to do better, to do more, and for more players to get into the industry.
respond to trending housing news.
I think the problem in Nigeria is we don't understand what public-private partnership means. It's not taking something free so you can make money. It is taking an asset and investing in it and using it to create wealth. So when you talk about public-private partnerships, it has to be something that grows the pie, not something that steals the pie. The way we do it in Nigeria is that you literally have a few people stealing the pie, and then the vast majority of us are struggling. That doesn't work. So in that way, I don't believe in the way we do it in Nigeria. But done properly, PPPs are the only way that you can catalyze the sector.
So as a company, we are huge believers in public-private partnerships. We are currently running 17 projects. Of those projects, I think about 4 of them are actually public-private partnerships. We're in partnership with Lagos State on 2 projects, with LSPDC and with Ministry of Housing. We have a development here that we are doing with Kano State Government as well, through the Housing Board and the pensions. So it's something we also have partnered up with Kaduna State on a market, renovation and redevelopment. We also have worked in the past with Niger State. So we really believe that actually PPPs are a really good way to, I think, expand very quickly when it comes to housing provision.
Government has a huge role to play in PPPs. I mean, the first P is public, and we know that government policies have a big say in how these things are done. Most of the things that were said today are very important, like land acquisition, to make it easy for people to have access to good land in places that there's infrastructure. And if there's no infrastructure, that government provides the infrastructure. So a cost of infrastructure is not borne by the cost of the house. If the developer provides infrastructure, he will transfer that cost in the price of the house, and that makes the house unaffordable for the people that is intended for. So we expect also government policies in trade and tariff. So we're talking of duties, on a lot of things that we import for housing, to remove or reduce duties on those items, so that in turn we transfer these savings to people. We also want to see more synergy between the federal government agencies, such as Family Home Funds, Federal Mortgage Bank, Infra Credit, Family Home Funds, those agencies that are charged with housing delivery, to be able to have a synergy for us to have a one housing policy that is being driven, all of us working towards one goal, which is providing affordable housing.
To me, I don't think it's right. Normally, you have to follow due process by involving the authorities like a law court for them to evict a tenant, not the landlord taking law by his hands. I think the government should try to see that landlords are made to follow the law. They should be enforced to take back the tenant until the tenant is legally or rightfully evicted from the house.
No, not at all. It's not right for a landlord to forcefully evict his tenants from the house. At least I believe they should give them a quit notice. And if that time elapses, maybe he can give a little more time. But just to come and just evict, where would they expect the tenant to sleep? They would render the tenant homeless. It's not right at all. I think the government should set a law, and should make sure that the landlords abide by the law. I think that's the best thing to do.
In my own opinion, it's right. Yes, because see, most of those tenants, they are wicked. One, they know the law, that you can't throw their things, they will not pay you. Even when you take them to a station, they will give you time. Giving you time, they are not paying you. You use maybe the money you use in building this, you plan it, that from this you'll be paying your children's school fee, you'll be feeding your family. But somebody just occupy your house, not paying you. You understand? Maybe at the end of the day, he damages the house when he's going, and still you didn't get that money. So if today somebody is living in my house, is not paying me, in fact, I will remove the roof. I will throw everything. Then let's go the other side and face the law. Government should do something about that law. The law, the tenants, they have upper hand over the landlords or landladies. Sure, you understand me? So government should do something about that. And at the same time, in the country we live today, we are still begging the same government. Every individual, as a citizen of your country, you need to have a roof of your own. Through mortgage, whether you are working under federal government, state government, or even when you are doing your own personal work, artisans. So you need to have a room so that all this embarrassment, maybe to the landlord or to the tenant, all those things will not be there.
It is very wrong for any landlord to throw his tenant things or property out, because when you are staying in a house, you are the owner of that house at that moment. So if you are facing difficulties in renewing your rent, at least the landlord should understand with you and give you some time. Throwing things out is a wrong idea. As a tenant, you should know your rights. If a landlord should come and throw your things out because you don't have the money to renew your rent, you have to go to the court of law, and I think that there are many bodies that will come to your aid to help you to get justice to that.
I wouldn't say it's right for a landlord to forcefully evict his tenant, but it's also his right. Like, it's kind of contradictory, but it's his right. He owns the house. He owns the right to do whatsoever he wants to do with it. But I don't think it is okay for him to forcefully evict. If he wants a particular tenant to leave his house, there are ways to go about it, but I don't think the method should be forceful.
It depends, but personally I'll say it's not right for a landlord to forcefully push out his or her tenants away. It's very, very wrong. If you have issue with the tenants, or if the house rent has expired and the tenant doesn't want to vacate the house, the right thing for you to do, maybe go to the appropriate authorities, maybe meet a lawyer, and a quick notice will be issued to the tenant, and a time will be given for such tenants to get his or her belongings out of the house. I believe that's the right way to do it.
No, it's not the right thing to do. A landlord is not supposed to eject his tenant from his house, really. If a tenant rentage has expired, you need to give him 3 months notice based on the Nigerian Constitution. You understand me? When you give him 3 months notice and he is not able to pay, you understand me? You take him to court. Court can also give him some extension. After that one, they will give him time notice. Court will give him time that they will actually come and ask him to bring his property out. But for a tenant to come out, for a landlord to ask the tenant to move out just because his rentage has expired, is not lawful, it's not proper. So I think government need to come into this scene because it's actually going rampant.
The whole of man's human life is about data because we're dealing with population. And let's imagine that there's a starting population. Population continues to grow and continues to increase. That same population will begin to have various kinds of demands. Demand for housing, demand for education, demand for recreation, demand for commercial use, and so on and so forth. And in order to make adequate provisions for this emerging population from time to time, we need to have data, accurate data. One of such data is population census. We ought to know how many we are. It's just like the head of a family needs to know how many mouths he has to feed. So that's essentially the use of data.
Data is very key and very important in the housing, in planning for housing, and a major way you can have a holistic plan that meets the needs by reason of where and how and numbers required is by first of all having the data collected and processed in a manner that can answer these questions, that can guide informed planning.
If you want to know how many people have access to housing, how many people are living in a well-built environment, so you need information. How many people have access to housing facility? What is the type of housing that they are living in? So you need data to monitor this. And if you want to plan as well, you need data. If government want to take any intervention, so they need data. So data is very critical. When government want to plan, if they don't rely on your data and your data is not genuine, then they won't be able to use that data. That is why we need data so that we can provide housing for Nigeria. How many people have access to housing? How many people don't have access? So that government will now be able to plan.
Country housing needs.
Well, to make most of those property affordable,
government has to have a rethink. Number one, see how they can do price control on material. Also, tax waiver on material, building material. If they do tax waiver on building material, the houses will be affordable, and they also do price control, because a lot of people, they sell their material, not even some wants to make excessive gains. So if there's a government price control, that will also stabilize the cost of material in the market. And if you take a tax off material like VAT, it will also bring the cost of material down.
The only way the government can help the masses is through the subsidy. The subsidy, maybe they subsidize the price through materials. If the government can help us and do the same thing on the housing, it will help so many people. Even the rural Kara will have a house.
The government will need to do what they are doing now for health insurance policy. There must be a conscious effort for housing policy to be implemented, and workers and citizens must be encouraged to put the normal 2.5% of their salaries into the national coffers, so that there will be enough patient funds that can be used, and then we can start mortgage. If there is good mortgage and there is good system of assessing funds, the price will come down.
The only way to make affordable housing for all is, number one, is to minimize the cost of materials, which is number one. We talk about cement, talk about the rod, and other materials that is used for construction. So, what government need to do, for like we have high class people, we have middle class and low class people. Okay, so the challenge is not at the aspect of the high class people. Where the main thing lies is between middle class and low class. So if we want to move forward and to carry everybody along, what we need to do is for us to come to that point where we make materials affordable for the low class and the middle class.
If we go back to our local productions, I think we should be able to get affordable houses for the masses.
The government should be able to coordinate from beginning and intentionally bring out laws that actually help the real estate developers. Little incentives like granting them land, making sure that the CFOs are given to them quickly, access to financing, even being backers for credits when they want credit. So little things that can help the real estate.
It's high time we go back to our local content. When I mean local content, I mean 100% local content. What is eco-friendly? More eco-friendly products. What happened to them when we are building mud houses, right? Now mud houses look like it's old school. No, it's sustainable, right? Eco-friendly, environmental friendly, even cost benefits. It's even easier to maintain.
The increase in the price of building materials across the country is compounding the woes of the housing sector. Persistent high inflation in foreign exchange is taking a toll on building materials as prices of essential construction materials keep rising, thereby making the prices of homes across board and rent in major cities of the country expensive. Prices of essential building materials like tiles, paints, POP materials, plumbing materials, doors, and other building materials have risen by over 70% in the last 10 months, and these has become a source of concern to operatives because of the direct impact on supply, affordability, and accessibility to housing, especially for low and middle-income Nigerians. Housing TV Africa visited the building material market at Mararaba in Nasarawa State to find out the current prices of some building materials and also how the present-day economy has influenced their business. Mr. Uzoma Goodluck Augustine, a dealer of floor tiles and paints. While listing out the current prices of materials, Augustine stated that customers are finding it difficult to purchase these materials.
This Toplam paint, formerly we are selling Toplam paint 6,500, but now we are selling that now is 7,500. This we say 2,900, but now it's almost 3,300. So the increment is much.
Mr. Obinna, who is into screeding materials, also lamented about the difficulties of making sales on a daily basis due to the country's economy. He listed some of the materials and their prices used in screeding and POP.
3,800 before, 3,800 before, now is 4,500. This is fillers for POP casting. 2,200 before, now is 3,100. And this is POP cement, 8,500 before, now is 9,500. This is screeding paint, 3,500, now is 4,500. This is 4,500, now 5,500.
LOC Nancy stated that business has been rough with a lot of changes in prices.
Actually, so many things have changed. For instance, this one, before now is 26,000, 25,000, but now is 33,000, 34,000 naira. It was 22,500, 22,000, but now it's 27,000, 28,000, depending. Like the whites, the prices are different too. 29,000, that's the price now.
Other building material sellers who are into made-in-Nigerian goods lamented that logistic cost has had a significant impact on the cost of building materials.
The price of this, that is the problem we are. Like, if we bought from company, like company, once we buy from company, they will charge the transportation, like you saw this big motor, they will collect 170 before, but now they collect 900,000, 1 million. Like this size, before we are selling 900 naira per square meter, but now it's 2,300. Yeah. This big one, 60 by 60, before we are selling it 1,650, but now it's 3,100. Some is 3,200. We have the one of 4,500. Like the water is, all this water is here. Before we sell it 700, 850. But now it's 1,900, 1,950.
The rate of transport has inflicted ×2. When you come to the products we buy, our Nigeria products we sell here that is supposed to be cheaper for us, we get them so much expensive. We have like ×2 increments on our products. A pressing shower. Earlier before we sell this for the rate of 3,500 naira, but currently now we sell for 9,000 naira. Earlier before we sell for 150, but now we sell it for 500 naira. You see this sink now. Earlier before we sell this for 15 to 18,000 naira, but now we sell it for 35,000 naira. So it has really changed. We sell it earlier for 1,300, 1,400, but now we sell for 3,500. Yeah, and the 6 inches that is up there as well. Same thing, before we sell for the rate of 4,000 naira, but now we sell for 6,000 naira for the 6 inches.
As the growing level of hopelessness is glowing on the faces of the majority of business owners, they call on the government to look into possible solutions in solving the cost of transportation. Maimuna Bagudu, reporting for Housing Development. Trending housing news. The living conditions of some communities in Nigeria situated in different parts of the country are relatable to the struggle and hardships Nigerian citizens have to face in a place called home, a place where individuals have to strive to live because of the lack of basic amenities of life. On today's episode of the program, we'll be taking a trip to 4 communities in Nigeria. Good to say that just like every other suburban area in Nigeria, these communities have similar challenges posing threats to the lives and well-being of the residents. Glad to be here today. Welcome to another informative episode of the program, Downtown. I am Mimuna Bagudu. Before we unveil what we have for you on today's episode of the program, let's take a quick break. Stay with us.
In the shadows, forgotten corners of our city, overcrowded, unsanitary, lacking basic amenities. These are the slums where millions struggle to exist. But there's a flicker of hope. An ambitious project is underway. Imagine homes with running water, proper sanitation, schools and playgrounds for children, a chance for dignity, for dreams to take flight. But this transformation needs your voices. Speak to Housing TV Africa and let the world witness the resilience of those who fight for a better place to call home. Let our cameras capture the tears of joy, the shared laughter, the spirit of unity that shines brighter than any hardship. Get in touch with Housing TV Africa today and be a voice of hope to people living in the slum. Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
Welcome back. Now let's take a journey to the western part of Nigeria. Nested in Akure, the capital of Ondo State, is a community known as Oluwasewon, a helpless community who seek for help from the government in order for them to have a better living condition. What are these challenges of residents living in Oluwasewon community? What are the living conditions in these areas? Do residents in this community who are also citizens of Nigeria have access to basic amenities? Well, the answer is brought before you as we journey together to Oluwasewon, a community in Akure. Let's take a look.
For residents of Oluwasewon, a community in Akure, the Ondo State capital, and has existed for many decades. Despite its years of existence, the community's environmental situation and housing infrastructure is worrisome, not just to the public, but also to the people living there. The environment, which is not conducive, has water flowing on the street, primarily from the bathrooms of people that channeled their pipes to the street. When asked about having access to some basic amenities and affordability of houses in the community, the youth leader of the community, Mr. Aderomu Ajayi, has this to say.
We are the ones moving out in the night, okay, to secure our life, most especially the youth. I will call everybody, to come out to do the vigilantes for ourselves. We don't have a security personnel coming down here. Now, I want to tell you, most of the times we don't have light. But the NEPA men will come to our place, they will collect their money at the end of the day, at the end of the month. As you can see. But I always telling our youth, here, not to fight with them.
Some other residents who also lent their voices said that the environmental situation has posed a threat to their livelihoods.
A ò lí títì rárá lí títì irikoto gúlúgúlú kéra olórí abá wá àbọ̀ bá páàkì sí títì lọ́rùn yàrá gan kan lọ sí ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì libyan gan náà páàkì sí títì lọ́rùn àríbi páàkì sí rárá ìsàlẹ̀ báyìí kó bá fẹ́ gbàbẹ̀ kó bá mọ̀sẹ̀ gbàbẹ̀ kó ẹ̀ ṣọ́ra wa kan ṣàdédé bá ẹ̀ lálẹ́ kó aṣubú lẹ́ni kí irikoto rẹ̀ gúlúgúlú títì rẹ̀ àìlèjì alógún àní títì.
Kò sójú ọ̀nà kò sómi gbogbo àwọn tó yẹ kó wá kán gbé mọ́tò wá kán bá wa ra nǹkan.
We don't have tarred road like other road there in Akure here. And here, because of the road now, there's no business. Look at the schools. Look at the women selling things. They don't have money to do their business. And apart from this now, you can see the gutter. We don't have good gutters in this area.
Ilé mọ́tò máa yà gbálẹ̀ líbí kí machine gan bọ̀ báyẹn and device ṣe yìn bẹ́yìn á ní lè gòkè.
Ilé mi báyìí yàrá mẹ́rin wà ńbẹ̀ báwọn ọ̀rẹ́ ní gbangba tí ò sójú ọ̀nà wọ́n ní òsibí tí wọ́n gbà.
We have a lot of challenges here. If the federal government can help us, okay, to give us good road so that businesses will continue booming here. Look at the schools. The schools, I think we have up to 3 primary schools here now. So with this, if the government can give us good road, we'll be able to have better future.
Àrọwọ́ ẹ̀bẹ̀ síjọba ni kán jọ kán ṣíjú àánú wò wá. À ń gbàdúrà fún gbogbo àdúrà tá a dẹ̀ ń gbà fún àgbà lórí wọn. Kán bá wa ṣe ìyà yìí pọ̀ jù. A dẹ̀ ti wà ládùúgbò la ṣẹ̀fẹ̀ sílé lọ.
Wow, it is alarming that security is a major challenge for people living in the slums in Akure. As the tip says, be vigilant and aware of your surroundings. Avoid walking alone, especially at night. Instead, walk with a friend or family member for security reasons. Now, snuggled in the hub of Angwan Nasara Ruga in Mararaba, Nasarawa State, is a community facing lots of challenges on a day-to-day basis with no hope of having access to a better life. Now, one major question comes to mind: is Angwan Nasara Ruga in Mararaba State different from every other slum area in Nigeria? Let's find out.
Nestled in the beating heart of Angwan Nasara, Ruga Mararaba is a vibrant community, boldly facing challenges and navigating through adversity with unwavering resilience. During the rainy season, the river poses a threat as it can flood homes in Angwan Nasara, Ruga Mararaba. Chief Audu Tafa, the traditional ruler of Sabongeri, sheds light on the harsh living conditions and the community's ongoing struggle with essential amenities. Reliable water sources is not available to them as they depend on vendors, locally known as Meirua, for water.
Little history I know about this river. We've been here now since 2012. 2012. Then before I came down to 2012, it was a church somewhere there that, creates passage a little bit. Then later they struggled to make sure that this bridge is being constructed. But actually during the rainy season, it's a lot of problem. Let me just put it in a simple, it's a lot of problem because once rain starts falling, if a heavy rain comes up, nobody will be able to cross the river. Cross the river. Nobody. You know where is the road. You know where is the road. You just everywhere will be blocked up until after some few hours. Then when the rain stops, then people start. It's the big problem that we are facing here. The only source of water we have here is all these people that have boreholes. This Merua, this outside people that sell Merua. So likewise myself. That's where we are living. Like, you know, before this fuel subsidy problem, the truck of water then, which is 14, they sell it maybe 250, 300. Man, now it's 500. It's now 600 naira.
Blessing Omachi, a resident for over 7 years, highlights the challenging living conditions, emphasizing the lack of access to quality education, road, security, and healthcare. Despite these hardships, the community faces steep house rent rates, with a single room reaching close to 80,000 naira.
I've been in this place for over 7 to 8 years now. The living condition is not friendly. The way there's no water, it's just few borehole. We buy water in this place. How much do you buy your water? Like truck is 600. Now that is before 600. Now it's up to 800 per truck. And sometimes you look if there is no light. That is how we carry rubber up and down, be looking for water. The government hospital here is not functioning well. Government school is nothing to write home about. It's not good at all. The government school is just all this. The children go to school without no slippers, no sandals. So we cannot even put our children in the government school because it's bad influence. The children going there. The rents are expensive. They are expensive. It's not like single room in this place is up to 80, and there's no water. 80,000 for single room, and you share toilets. It's 80,000.
While education is one of the basic gain in life, Sir Benson, a dedicated school owner, emphasizes the community's eagerness for education and the critical need for improved infrastructure.
Initially, I was thinking that maybe this part of the world, they don't like going to school, but if you look at my school now, majority of the students, they are from this part of the world. Many of them, they are outside Fulani. So the school is, the people here, they have interest in education very, very well.
Damuwanmu, kin ga dai damuwanmu na farko, kin ga gada gata can. To ita ce muna da damuwa a kanta, ƙwarai da gaske. Mu ne ke ɗan haɗa kuɗi muna ɗan mutanen unguwa, mu ne ke haɗa kuɗi muna ɗan yinta. Yanzu kina ganin wannan hanya tun daga Maraba, kin ga tun daga Maraba har ta kai can ba kwalta, ba mu da ruwa, ba makarantar gwamnati.
In the midst of these challenges, Angwan Nasara sent out a resounding plea for better living conditions, improved education, and infrastructure. The question lingers: will the authorities answer this call? Time holds the key as this community presses on in the hope of a brighter tomorrow.
It's good news. Are you a stakeholder in the built environment, or you are looking for an authentic, credible source for housing and construction news in Africa? You now have an opportunity. Africa International Housing Show has now created a unique opportunity for you by establishing a full-fledged housing television, the first of its kind in Africa. You can now access information on home ownership, rental, building materials, finance, real estate, and insurance, among others, all on Housing TV Africa, channel 149 on StarTimes.
Amid all the challenges being faced by residents of Angwan Nasararuga in Mararaba, Nasarawa State, these hopeful citizens presses on in the hope of a brighter tomorrow. Still to come on the program is a visit to Kabaladoki, a community in Kaduna State. After that, we take a trip to Mama Iyabo, a community in Jos, South Plateau State, right after this break. Stick around.
I found out that after getting a land in Federal House in Lugbe, they said it has an AMAC paper. But all of a sudden, at the end of the day, I was informed that it's no longer AMAC, it's FHA. And today, I'm no longer in custody of that land. I've lost the land because they say it's not AMAC land, it's FHA. But I don't know the difference between AMAC and FHA.
When you are looking at fraud in real estate, the foundation of that fraud, the governments, they are the architects of this fraud.
One of the things that causes all this fraud in the country is because of the system of the country does not work. Somebody do a fraud and is being allowed to get away with it. And that's why you discover that there are a lot of people that are scammers. They go into a business that they are really there to sap money from people.
Your plight, your concerns, your issues related to housing, livelihood, and social development. This is why we have established Housing TV Africa. Keep a date with us on Star Times and DSTV 247. Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
So good to have you back on the program. This is Downtown on Housing TV Africa, a program that spotlights the living conditions of Nigerians living in slums in different parts of the country. Moving on, one may think that living in Kaduna State means having access to an affordable life. But what does living in Kabala Doki, a neighborhood in Kaduna North local government area, means? Let's take a look.
Living in Kaduna State can mean having access to an affordable life. But what does living in Kabala Doki, a neighborhood in Kaduna North local government area, mean? Kabala Doki, a neighborhood in Kaduna State, is not left out in the dictionary term of the word suburb. The population in this neighborhood cannot be questioned, as it has grown to become a busy area because of the market. A street named Lagos Street in Kabala is not so habitable for residents, as the living conditions are not conducive. Even at that, the cost of living in this area has increased drastically. Alhaji Abdul Qadir Jafaru, chief of Yoruba people in Lagos Street, who has been living in the area for many years, expressed his dissatisfaction over the living conditions of the area.
Living condition in Kaduna now is very high. Before, we are renting one single room, 15,000, 20,000. Now, going to 50,000 for a room. So, the living condition now is too high in Kaduna now.
Malam Suleiman narrated the harsh living conditions in Kabala Doki. Speaking with Housing TV Africa, Malam Suleiman said,
To gaskiya kin san Kaduna bariki ce. Ita ce hedikwata arewa a Najeriya. Kuma zaman da ake Kaduna sai ka shirya dan zama ne na 'yan bariki. Saboda haka gida a Kaduna a yanzu yana cikin wani hali na ha'ula'i. Saboda gida ya yi tsada.
He pleads with the government to bring the Nigerian economy back to life.
It's It's alarming, I must say, how the cost of living in Kabaladoki has increased drastically, and one may begin to wonder if the suburbs which are meant to be affordable can be afforded. One tip people living in the slum need to be aware of is the avoidance of late-night outings. Always ensure you get home safe.
Nestled in the heart of Jos, the capital city of Plateau State, lies Mamai Yabo, a community that defies the odds. Despite being in the capital city, the community faces a myriad of challenges that threaten its residents' well-being. The fast-growing community is home to over 500 residents in Jos South. While the community might be in the city of Jos, its living conditions are challenging for its residents, becoming a concern for proper and basic living standards. The community is cut off from the rest of the city by a dusty and bumpy road that is barely passable by vehicles, making it a nightmare for the residents to commute to their homes. The houses in the community are dilapidated structures with water leaking from the bathrooms and toilets of the residents, creating a breeding ground for diseases and infections. The residents resort to using mosquito nets for their windows to ward off the swarms of mosquitoes that invade their homes from the stagnant gutters and broken pipes. When asked about the challenges of living in the community, Bethel Malam, a resident of the community, expressed his frustration and despair.
They suffer anyway. Before you go get water, you go to work out where first before you get water first. Dirty, the area is dirty. Even though it's needs spend area and it's still dirty. But if you light, you can apply.
While some residents have no issues with electricity, others have been living in darkness, as many tenants are required to pay for their own meters and may still not have power supply regardless, according to Felix Yusuf, a young resident.
60,000, they have paid all the things. They have paid for it. They didn't do it daylight.
Another resident says the economic situation of most residents of the community poses a threat to security.
I've been in this area ever since I was given birth to, and so there are no cases of all of these collating, like they will stop you, block you in the night, collect your phone. We have just pockets of stealing here and there, but that one is normal everywhere. But then it will increase if this thing is not stopped. Like when they don't have money to do all of these things they are doing, they will venture into stealing. And then when they venture into stealing, the street will not be safe. In the night, 7 o'clock, business will have to shut down because you are scared they might come and,
Water is a scarce and precious resource for the community, as their wells dry up during Harmattan, and they have to walk a distance to get water. Mr. Musa Danladi, a resident of the community who has lived there for more than 20 years, sheds more light.
Damuwa kan akwai damuwa a fuskoki daban-daban a makamanci su kamar hanyar da kun bi kun zo nan kun ga da hanya lalace. For many years in dry season ya kai samun ruwan sha ma mutane suka yi wahala in ba taimakon da an zo wannan bohol gashi nan sama ko har gani shine aka dan samu dan ruwa wuri da kuma matan nan daga baya ta yi kuma na ta for commercial kaga ne dan akwai hanyar da za ta taimaka mutane da ruwan sha it will be very very good. Naira 10 karamin roban nan jerrycan 20 naira za su ya taimaka mana sai su duba fanni wannan ruwan da kuma in za su kara mana jin daɗi sai su gyara mana wannan hanya. Kun shiga kun gani da kun wahala wani lokaci sai mota ma ya zo rami ya hana shi ma zai tare hanya gaba daya duk kayakin mu sai dai mu kwashi da hannu mu shiga.
Amidst the many challenges of the community, there are some residents who try to make a difference and improve living conditions.
We came here, we saw the need of this community. So my son, actually it's my son, we saw the need for the community, that there's no water here except that one. Even that one there is a church that put it for them. And when you come here, I used to visit my son. That time we have not put our own. See the line, the way they will queue and queue and queue and queue round and round. My son said, Mommy, look at what is happening. I said, how do these people survive with this situation? So I should know what that is, expecting one. Once he gets it, that he will do something about it. That's how we come up with this idea of the water. We are happy that we are serving the people, and the people are getting water to drink. Most of them will come and appreciate us and say, that we have helped them.
The residents of Mamai Yabo cling to the hope that someday the government will intervene and transform the living conditions of the community.
Now, today's episode of the program shows that almost every suburban area in Nigeria has similar challenges. As for peculiarities and uniqueness, Angwan Nasararuga in Mararaba, Nasarawa State, a community known for embracing education amidst the hardship they face, while Kabaladoki in Kaduna State, a community that is known for community-based enterprise. This is one interesting fact about these areas, I must say.
They live in the shadows, forgotten corners of our city, overcrowded, unsanitary, lacking basic amenities. These are the slums where millions struggle to exist. But there's a flicker of hope. An ambitious project is underway. Imagine homes with running water, proper sanitation, schools and playgrounds for children, a chance for dignity, for dreams to take flight. But this transformation needs your voices. Speak to Housing TV Africa and let the world witness the resilience of those who fight for a better place to call home. Let our cameras capture the tears of joy, the shared laughter, the spirit of unity that shines brighter than any hardship. Get in touch with Housing TV Africa today and be a voice of hope to people living in the slum. Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
It's been a great ride with our amazing viewers on today's episode of the program Downtown. You can watch today's episode over again and previous episodes by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Housing TV Africa. I am Maimuna Bagudu. Thanks for watching and bye for now.
TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.
I will go with car because living in an apartment will not be another streams of income to me. But having a car, I could do a whole lot with a car. I may decide to venture into transportation business. If you give me a Hiace, I become a big boy overnight. Because I'm going to start running interstate with a Hiace.
Give me the car of my choice. Give me the car of my choice. Okay. With the car of my choice, I can still use the car to make money and build a house.
I go take the rent. If I live uncomfortable with that 2 years, I'm okay. Than motor. What is motor?
If not for Soko, I go choose the house. Or if not for Metama, I go choose the house. I go leave car. But if not for Papi, I go choose the car, leave house.
Motor na motor. That house is house. After the day of work, somebody come back and relax. 30 minutes, 1 hour is something.
You want to rent a 2-bedroom flat apartment for me somewhere in Guarimpa, either 5 years or even 10 years up front, I will still choose a car because it will generate income for me
but such will not generate money for me. So I will go for a car.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.
There are many issues, and the vast majority or the major reason would be the prevalence of quacks in the construction industry in Nigeria. That would be the major reason. There is also a huge issue with the monitoring of the compliance with building codes in Nigeria. We haven't done very well with that. Supervision is a big issue. The quality of some of the materials that we use and the construction methods that we use are very, very obvious reasons why we have a prevalence of building collapse.
A lot of people who go into building collapse, you go into building construction, especially the private sector, you will see that in most cases they don't employ the services of professionals that are in the field. If you go to the site of a building collapse and listen to the stories and history around that particular site, in most cases you hear that engineers or adequately qualified engineers were not involved. You hear situations where it was a brother's son or a brother's cousin who had nothing to do with construction that was in charge of the supervision and things like that. So I think we need to have the proper laws and apply the laws when we have somebody violating it. And they can stop it. Again, recall that most of the buildings that is being done by government, where they use appropriate engineering personnel, engineers and technicians and so on, you hardly hear of any collapse.
That's obvious. Most of these collapses that you hear about, you will never associate it with professional engineers. It's quackery. It's quackery, and that is why we gather together like this to refine the laws and the policies of making sure that all buildings in this country pass through a system of check and balances that will make sure that all specifications that will keep a building standing for years are implemented.
First and foremost, to limit or to reduce building collapse, we have to have an efficient and effective mortgage system, whereby there will be a pool of funds for the right kind of investors to put into building. The second problem probably is also the issue of enforcement of the rules and regulations. Of course, there are a lot of rules, there are a lot of regulations as regards building codes and practices, but the issue is the enforcement. A lot of buildings are being constructed without the qualified personnel supervising them.
if I want to get my own house, I would like to buy land and build it to my taste. That's what I like. I don't like. That's what I like. But maybe, preferably, I see one house that has been built, and the person needed money, or the person want to sell it for maybe for the reason or other, I can buy it. But I prefer to build my own house to my taste.
This time around, we don't trust, so I will even prefer to build by myself. The supervisor will be there to know what is going on. Sometimes this time around, we don't trust government. So I would prefer to build by myself.
For me, I think I would prefer to build my house myself, because I'll do it in a way that it will get to my tastes. I'll do it to my tastes. But if someone does it, I might not really like both the color, the painting, and then the structures. I may not appreciate it. So I prefer to do it myself.
Okay, I would like to build by myself. Yes. Because at least I will use superior materials to build them. Unlike the ones the developers, they will use inferior ones. Most times they will use inferior ones, and when you buy, you will still go back and change some things there. But if I'm to build by myself, I use superior ones to build.
I prefer building it for myself, because when times of building, I will build to my own taste, whereby tomorrow it will not collapse.
I would rather prefer to build on my own. Of course, you know, when you are building something, when you are building a house of your own, you build it to your own taste. Of course, how will you want to live with your family? You know, you design it yourself, not somebody's design. So basically, I would prefer to build house, you know, on my own, rather than to buy from somebody.
Depends on the price. If I make a research and I discover that what I will spend building by myself, it will be cheaper than to go to buy land. Then just the one that is easier. That is all.
Trending housing news.
Well, it's actually an unplanned settlement, and so it's not really planned. So people just get by. People just get by as they can. If they break down and rebuild, what are they going to be rebuilding for? The average average person here cannot afford it. The average person here cannot afford it. So I mean, it's very wrong. If the government should think of demolishing this place, that's catastrophic. That's adding salt to injury on the lives of the everyday common man. These people are just trying to get by. It's not a crime for them to come into the FCT. That they are in the FCT does not mean they should be terrorized, or they should be, they should be demonized, or make them feel like the scum of the environment. The government should prioritize spending and alleviate poverty of the masses. Give people access to capital. Let people go back to their villages and go and farm. Let people go back to their homes and not necessarily see the FCT as a milking point.
What I want government to do, first and foremost, is security aspects of the life of the citizens. I think you should give your citizens hope. It's hope that the citizens really want. They really want that hope. Nigeria, if you give Nigerians hope that wait for me between now and 2024, Nigeria will accept patience.
I am not comfortable. Everything now is not good. We are no longer enjoying our mandate. The worst part that the masses are passing through now is the government is collecting from us instead of the government making the masses comfortable. This is Wumba in Abuja. The kind of government that we want, a government that will empower the masses.
For me, it's not good for them to come do demolition. Make them bring government school come here. As they not everybody go afford private school. So we need government to come help us bring school. Government school, primary school for us here. So we have challenge for that one, for the community here.
What I think the government should provide for me personally, the three basic needs of man, which is food, shelter, and clothing. Then, instead of chasing us away from this rural area, they should take us to an urban area as a good citizen of this country. Because we have been exercising our franchise by voting for them, doing other things. I think we should be also taken care of on our own needs too. By providing us social amenities, I think by so doing we will improve. Social amenities such as water, light, especially light and water. I think we are okay. Roads, environmental sanitation. Look at the environment now. It's not clean at all. But we are here. No health facility, nothing of such. So we are believing by the grace of God.
My living condition in this environment is that the government are not treating us well. Hunger full everywhere, especially food stop. People are dying for hunger, no food, no money, no job. The little one people are managing, demolition is everywhere. So we are not happy about it. Let government bring food stuff down so that poor man will eat.
You don't expect the rich to pay almost the same amount than the poor people. Somebody who managed to even build a house, not worth up to 3 million, living in Kubwa. There are some houses people are living. They struggle to build these houses. Some spend 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, and you're expecting them to pay flat rate of 2.5. While somebody is living in a house of billions of naira, it's not right. My take is that it's not right. It's not. There is no equity to that, and there is no justice to that. What the government should do, government should be able to assess each building, value these properties, and fix a percentage. You can say, okay, maybe you can say 10% for all the houses based on the value of the property. If you go to Maitama, you value a property, you can say, okay, 15%, all the property in Maitama, based on the value of the property. There's some property worth 1 billion. So you should be able to pay like 15% as the tenement rate. Then those who are living in Kubwa too, you value their property. If their property worth 10 million, they pay 15% of 10 million. So I think that is the way I look at it. These people should pay based on the value of this property.
For Minister to make the flat rate of 3.5 for every landowner in Abuja is a very good one to help people to get authentic land. Because of this issue of CFO, high, expensive, and to put on it very difficult. Many people are losing their land. They are buying fake land. Many are buying land that are not genuine. But with this it's very easy to process the land, the original certificate documents of the land.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
Development Control under the FCTA has issued directives for officers to compile a thorough list of informal settlements for verification, emphasizing the need to identify and address potential havens for criminal activities. The Director of Development Control, Mukhtar Galadima, revealed the strategy during the recent removal of shanties and shops in Durumi 1. Ebenezer Anukam has the details.
This proactive measure aligns with the broader vision of the administration to fortify security and promote organized development within the FCT. Galadima emphasized that given the escalating insecurity in the FCT, the ministry mandate is to clear all shanties and squatter settlements. This initiative marks a significant step towards ensuring the safety and systematic development of the Federal Capital Territory. Ebenezer Anukam, reporting for Housing TV Africa.
The Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority, LASPA, has announced that 700 buildings were sealed in 2023 for non-compliance with the state's regulations. This was disclosed by the General Manager of LASPA, Mr. Kainde Oshinaike, during an enforcement operation led by the authority across the Ikeja local government area of the state. He highlighted the necessity of these measures to prevent potential building collapses in 2024. Mr. Kainde urged the enforcement team to work diligently to ensure compliance with the relevant laws and safeguard the structural integrity of buildings within the state. The rest of the stories after the break. Stay tuned.
Thank you, AIHS, for the opportunity of this exhibition. It was a nice experience. I would like to make it again.
Teşekkürler AIHS.
Çok teşekkürler AIHS.
Thank you AIHS. Thank you so much.
非常感谢 AIHS。
大家好，我就想很好的感谢 AIHS。
谢谢 AIHS。
Thank you everyone. Thank you AIHS.
Thank you AIHS.
Welcome back. The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, a vital 127-kilometer 6-lane road connecting Lagos, Ogun and Oyo states and serving as a major route to the north and south of Nigeria, has long been known for its traffic congestion and accidents. However, recent reconstruction and rehabilitation efforts aimed at easing these issues have inadvertently given rise to a new problem: rising incidents of open defecation. Despite significant government investment in the expressway's reconstruction, miscreants and touts have turned the median into public toilets, creating an unsanitary and unpleasant environment. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has unveiled its annual seasonal climate prediction on February 20th, 2024. This announcement comes following the approval of the date by the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo. NIMET's Director General, Professor Charles Anosike, revealed the agency's commitment to the success of these significant events. While speaking in Abuja, Professor Anosike stated that they have initiated communication with partners such as the World Meteorological Agency, the United Nations, its various agencies and other stakeholders slated to participate, which is geared towards improving the precision and efficacy of the seasonal climate prediction. For more updates in the housing sector, just subscribe to our YouTube channel, Housing TV Africa. Don't forget to also follow us on all of our social media platforms. I am Maimuna Bagudu. Bye for now.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
For the residents of Jahi, a community in the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Jahi is one of Abuja's fastest growing suburb. Because of its advantageous location, it can be reached from a number of important thoroughfares, including the Ahmadu Bello Way, the Kubwa Expressway, and the Central Area. Jahi's rise in popularity can be attributed to its strategic location. While looking at its accessibility to work and other major places in the FCT, the Jahi suburb environmental situation has become alarming, not just to outsiders, but to the people living there. The environment, which is not conducive, has water flowing on the streets, primarily coming from bathrooms of tenants who channel their pipes to the road. Speaking with one of the residents, she explained the affordability of houses in the area, stating that houses in Jahi are affordable. When asked about having access to basic amenities like water, light, security, and health care, she has this to say.
Jahi is nice and it's accommodating place because we always have lights. When it comes to lights, there is water, there is normal thing we need sharp, but house rent in Jahi there is 500,000 self-contained, there is 350 self-contained. It depends on the standard of the house sharp.
Another resident who spoke with Housing TV Africa said Jahi is one area that is used to having affordable housing, but with the present situation of the country, houses are now costly.
The renting of the house here is very cost.
Well, comes to level of self-contained. Self-contained 250, 300, 450, and very dirty house like that. In fact, smelling. But there's nothing we can do about it.
Amidst the different reactions from some residents, some spoke about the poorly built structures and how water affects their properties and belongings. Also adding that security level is very poor, with scavengers, aka Babambola, sneaking in and out to steal from them.
There are different sides in Jahi. There are some sides that are good and neat, and there are some sides that are dirty and they are not good. And water cannot flow and go straight forward, or it cannot look for a place to like go out. Or there are some places whereby soccer way are filled up and then they just come out on the road, and then you just see it like dirty and so messed up. It makes the environment look so bad. And in front of our Jahi estate, in fact the whole environment has dump. People don't know how to dump their refuge, especially all these guys that carry sacks on their back. They steal a lot. It's when I came to Jahi, that's why I first realized it. They steal a lot. Anything plastic, iron, aluminium, they just take it without even asking permission.
Visiting the primary healthcare facility in the area to have a first-hand assessment, the healthcare practitioner who spoke with Housing TV Africa stated that the facility is doing its best to attend and provide medical attention to patients who visit the facility, adding that the facility needs more help in terms of providing more health services to the people.
This work that you are seeing is not from the government, it's one Rotary Club that is doing the work for us. So if government will put hand and make it, like, let them continue from where they stop, we will be happy.
As the hope of the common man is steadfast on a daily basis, the residents of Jahi are urging government officials to intervene and enhance the living conditions in the area.
We don't have road, and you see at times if it is raining, you will see a lot of people will go by the roadside. They will be thrown dirt on the main road. We also doesn't have toilet. You see a toilet, you will still up to 30 tenants. They are using one. You can't leave your door open, go and buy something. Before you will know, Babambola will enter. By the time you will take them to police station, 1 hour is too much. The police people will release them. In fact, we don't know what is happening.
This is the situation with many citizens in not just Nigeria. Are we ready for this conversation? What is the plight of an average Nigerian citizen in regards to housing? Housing is a fundamental human right, and these issues must be addressed.
Quite fundamental to the attainment of affordable housing goals in any nation is for stable housing policy, presence of political will, and proper implementation of sustainable housing policies. For a country to meet its affordable housing expectations, there must be a stable macroeconomic environment. In Nigeria, the situation is not helped by high inflation rates and nominal interest rates. Not only does a volatile economy like Nigeria reduce affordability of mortgages, but also affects the supply of funds and the types of mortgages offered by lenders. In this report, some stakeholders in the Nigeria housing industry speak on ways to address the issue of housing affordability in Nigeria. Brigadier General Tunde Res, retired, the president and founder, First World Communities, says there is need to come up with policies that will address the affordability issue, which is the biggest obstacle to large-scale delivery of affordable housing.
We need to come up with policies that will address the affordability issue, because affordability is the biggest obstacle to large-scale delivery of affordable housing. Even where developers have capacity to deliver large number of houses, the fact that off-takers cannot afford them will not help them to progress to another phase. So if we can find a way to create policies or products or an environment that would bridge that affordability, then we'll start to unlock other possibilities in the housing industry.
Dr. Hanatu Adamufika says the CBN should work towards making mortgages available at single-digit rate.
What we are appealing to government is to create a conducive environment to encourage the Central Bank of Nigeria to talk with the banks, as it happens in all countries of the world, because any company that is into provision of mortgages for citizens of any country, loans are supposed to be given to these companies at single-digit rate, so that it will impact on the delivery of houses.
For the Managing Director, Nigerian Mortgage Refinance Company, Kehinde Ogundimu, he says there is need to sort out the cost of funds itself, how people borrow to own houses, how much they pay on their interest.
We also now need to sort out the cost of funds itself, which is how people borrow to build the houses, how much they pay to borrow to build the houses, or how much people pay on their mortgage as interest. So that cost is also very essential. So by solving the cost of funds problem or issue, you solve the cost of the houses itself and you solve the affordability on the other side. So the houses become cheaper and then people are able to afford to make their mortgage or monthly payments because rates are down, the cost of fund is down.
The gap between supply and demand for housing is an issue for the government to address in order to provide housing at a cheaper rate, which is the basic need of man.
TV Africa, your first in housing development broadcasting.
we don't have road. And you see, at times, if it is raining, you will see a lot of people will go by the roadside. They'll be thrown dirt on the main road. We also doesn't have toilet. You see a toilet, you still have to 30 tenants, they are using one. You can't leave your door open, go and buy something. Before you will know, Babambola will enter. By the time you will take them to police station, 1 hour is too much, the police people will release them. In fact, we don't know what is happening.
This is the situation with many citizens in not just Nigeria. Are we ready for this conversation? What is the plight of an average Nigerian citizen in regards to housing? Housing is a fundamental human right, and these issues must be addressed.
Lamentation and criticism continue to trail the state of housing across the country. From several states like Lagos to Kogi to even the Federal Capital Territory, the tale of substandard houses complemented with poor sanitation resonates. It has been unpleasant for residents of Apoduse community, as this is a challenge they are stuck with. The community located around the popular Kabusa Junction in Apo, Abuja, is crippled with poorly built houses, poor road network, appalling sanitation, amongst others. Apoduse, which has an estimated population of over 100,000 people, generates a huge amount of waste, which threatens the health of its residents through air pollution. For the inhabitants, the first step outside the poor houses welcomes them into an awful heap of refuse dump. It is one challenge after the other for these residents. Both the young and the old are distressed by the poor standard of living.
The house we live in, they are full of dirty. The house is not well functioned. There's no good foundation. Our house is very poor. Even in the zinc itself, you can see the zinc. The zinc nothing good. Even the road itself, you can see that the road is not well done.
As you can see, the environment is very littered with dirtiness. The structure itself is not a very good building structure. We find it very bad, especially when it's raining. Most of the houses here collapse during rainy season. Some also leak. And even the landlord, when you talk to them, they will tell you you should repair it yourself. Some tenants are living, even my own compound presently now, the way we are. We don't have toilets, we don't have bedroom. Even when we manage to do the toilet, discover that more than 36 rooms are using one toilet. And that is what we have been facing. No water, like now, this dry season now, we're beginning to face scarcity of water.
Business owners in the area lament over unproductivity caused by poor infrastructure.
When you come about rainy season, you cannot even pass, people cannot even walk on the road. Same about walking, you cannot walk with your 2 legs on this road. It's only when the rain has finished dropping, like say 2 to 3 days, that the environment is dried. That's when people can be able to march. So it's really affecting our business. So when it's dry season like this, you find out that dust, I'm selling clothes, you find out that dust with dust full all inside the shop everywhere, dust.
With all their years spent living in such conditions, one would almost think it has become a norm for these residents, but on the contrary, they continue to hope and expect interventions by the Federal Capital Territory Administration and the federal government at large.
I want to ask the government to provide for us good road, also good houses, because our house we are living in is full of destruction, dirtiness. We don't live in good, we don't even drink good water. Before we can see water safe, we'll go far and look for water.
Federal government, they are not planning to establish a new ministry that will channel all this youth. And this our leaders, they are still using old method. And they are using old method ruling this country. But we need them to think outside the box.
Billions of naira has been allocated to the Federal Capital Territory Administration in the 2020 budget proposal. Perhaps the administration's intervention in this issue of poor infrastructure may bring the much-needed breather for the citizens.
if I have the money, I would actually like to pay. After all, I'm still going to pay when the time comes. But if I don't have the money and I feel like you're trying to rob me of my rights, I actually think I would pursue that to the very last to actually make sure what is due to me I get, even if it means me leaving the house at the end of that tenure. But as it seems, I must actually pursue it through, just to make sure, yes, I don't get cheated out of something. You can't come and make me vacate a place I actually paid for a certain length of a span of time, and it's not time and you want to let me go or you want to force me to leave. So no, it's either I pay because I have the money and it's convenient for me, or I actually see it through that, okay, yes, I stay till when I'm supposed to stay before I leave.
On the very good ground, the landlord himself does not have such right to put any tenant on such compulsion to pay the money. But what the landlord can do, if he can have a better understanding with the tenant to say, okay, please, I have such need that I don't know if you can assist me for at least an advance of 1 year rent, and the tenant is willing, the tenant can do. But the condition of putting any tenant under compulsion to pay an advance payment when your rent has not expired, the landlord does not have that right.
Most of the time, the landlord depends on the rent they get. So sometimes they put pressure on tenants, and that's not too good. I do not really know what the law says about that, but I understand that there should be a concrete agreement between the tenant and the landlord, and then as to when you will pay your rent. So if that time has not elapsed, there's no reason why you should put pressure on your tenant. But sometimes maybe you can just discuss with your tenant out of compassion or understanding if he has money.
You know, we need to have it in the law that if you come to Nigeria, if you want to rent house, you will do 6 months or you will do 1 year. We don't have it in the law. If you go to US to rent house in US, it's either you do 1 month or you do 1 year. But in Nigeria, it's open. A situation when you open your house, criminals have right to go in and take whatever they want to take. So we have never, in my own view, we have never got a Senate that is working for the people. We only have businessmen in the Senate.
Talking about the landlord and tenant issue, especially when it comes to a situation whereby the tenant pay his or her rent and it has not expired yet, and landlords come to say you have to come and pay your rent in advance, 6 months or 1 year, so they start counting. Yes, I've had that experience in the past, and I tell you something, it's not really good, because that's what has brought a lot of rift between the landlord and tenant today. And again, I think there's something that needs to be done about it, because it has now led to so many things that the landlords, especially in Abuja today, that they are just doing, and it now makes it very difficult for a tenant to get even an accommodation in a very good place because of this condition that they put.
Well, I don't really encourage that. As a landlord, I'm also a landlord. I have tenants in my house, and I know 1 or 2 issues they face sometimes before they could meet up in paying 1 year. Now, in the case of 2 years, I find it so disturbing because it is something that I wouldn't want someone to do to me, and I will find it so uncomfortable to impose it on my tenants.
It's a very bad situation. In the country we find ourselves, there's supposed to be control over that, but we're in a country that you do what you want because we don't have control. It's a normal thing, especially in the city of Abuja. It's a normal thing for them that a landlord will tell you to pay 2 years ahead. And apart from that, the agents, people are not making it easier for them. They are the one even causing it, increasing the rent. They are the one, because for their own benefits. It's a very bad situation.
For me, I don't think that is the best thing to do. You have an agreement, and it has a duration on which you paid that rent for. So until the duration of that payment expired, before you now think of another thing. That is when you can now say, okay, sir, I want you to pay me 1 year. If it is per annum, you say, okay, I want you to pay me for 1 year, but I have an issue. I don't know if you can understand with me to add another 6 months for me. I think that one would be much more honorable and much more acceptable. But for you to just come up because somebody is staying in your house, maybe because you see the person is doing well, and they just come up with any issue at any time. Please, I want you to give me 6 months, or I want you to borrow me money. I think that is not acceptable.
Any landlord that want to collect money before the tenant's money enwraps, maybe the landlord is in highly need of money. But if landlord want to collect another money in advance, the landlord supposed to, come with pleading, come, to his tenant to reason with him one-on-one, because the tenants still have the right.
A drive through the streets of Abuja, the nation's capital, will reveal a significant number of abandoned housing projects littering the landscape. Although millions of naira are allocated to housing projects in the country every year, abandonment of these projects still ensue. There are countless uncompleted building projects like houses, schools, hospitals, which have been neglected by the Niger Delta Development Commission and the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. Report shows that most of these housing projects have been converted to criminal hideouts, illegal shotlets, and even barracks by the police force. This persistent trend galvanized the legislative arm of government to take actions by investigating all abandoned government projects from the year 1999 during the tenure of the former president Olusegun Obasanjo till today. According to the perturbed lawmakers, over 20,000 projects have been awarded in the country, and payment of not less than 50%, which amounts to billions of naira, have been made in advance. Most housing projects frequently abandoned are due to a myriad of problems ranging from litigation, whereby many lawsuits are delayed by the court, the lack of funds, issues of land ownership and titles, poor infrastructure, issues with constructors, and change of government. Here in Saraji District, Apo, in the nation's capital, lies Malaysian Garden Estate, one of the numerous abandoned federal government housing projects in the country. This estate was launched by the former president Olusegun Obasanjo in 2004, but even after 15 years, still hasn't reached completion. Housing development crew paid a visit to the estate, but were denied access into the land by the security guard, who also refused to speak about the estate. But from outside where the crew stood, several people were spotted illegally occupying the houses, even in its abandonment. This estate, which holds 14,085 housing units, if completed, will provide housing for thousands of Nigerians, as the housing scheme is set to focus on 65% low-income earners, 25% middle-income earners, and 10% high-income earners. Recognized as one of the basic necessities of life and a prerequisite to the survival of an individual. But there are so many challenges faced in the housing sector in Nigeria, but recently the spotlight has been placed on one: housing deficit. With all the attention drawn to that issue, it is almost like the government has neglected the problem of unoccupied houses, where thousands of houses in the nation lie vacant. There are countless newly built luxury houses and estates springing up throughout the cities that do not fulfill any housing need, but act as vehicles for money laundering instead. Despite the increasing population of Nigeria, which is estimated to be over 200 million according to the United Nations, there is still a shocking increase in the rate of vacant houses in the country. A new report released by Northcourt records a rise in the number of vacant houses in Abuja to 37% in the year 2019, with Katampe and Apo leading with the highest, while Ikoyi, Victoria Island, and Oniru leading for Lagos. The reason for this upsurge is crystal clear.
You see houses, if you go there, they want to let it out at an exorbitant rate because of they are not built to really meet the lower cadre of Nigerian, and that is really the main issue. In
Abuja, a prospective tenant needs between 2.5 million and 3 million annually to rent a two-bedroom apartment in town. In areas like Lugbe, Kare, Kubwa, and other satellite towns in the FCT, a two-bedroom apartment attracts a yearly rent of between 400,000 naira to 700,000 naira. Many Nigerians are forced to live in informal settlements without access to even the most basic services like running water. The question now is, what is the solution to this problem? The UN has urged the Nigerian government to impose vacant home taxes with a view to addressing this challenge. But what more can be done?
The houses are built, but the rent is too expensive for the people that needed the houses. So again, there's a need for us to do a need assessment before houses are built. You should be able to know who are the people in need so that you can build for the people in need, not just build for building's sake.
Section 16 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria clearly stipulates the duty of the government in providing adequate and affordable housing to all citizens. Hence, it is very important that measures be put in place to tackle this challenge.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.
to trending housing news.
My name is Adedeji Jones Adeshemoye. I work for the Central Bank of Nigeria as Deputy Director. I'm also the head Nigeria Housing Finance Program that just closed. The housing finance in Nigeria, I will say, in terms of the importance among Nigerians, is growing in terms of awareness of what housing finance can do in changing the landscape of access to home ownership in Nigeria. Okay. Number two is the fact that the challenges that we have had in the time past that is not making finance to move in the direction of being able to address the provision of affordable housing to Nigerians is being handled, and that particular risk is being de-risked. That is, the challenges, the constraints are being addressed one by one in order for finance to flow into that aspect of our need as human beings and grow the market. Because after the need for food, the next need that human being would like to identify with is to have home. Okay, and this is not just